Florida State's recruiting efforts were improved in the 2024 cycle through the 2023 year, but they certainly fell short of some expectations that Seminoles fans had. And no matter what your expectations were for the Noles, you can certainly say that in the 2025 class, this 2024 year, you want to see it improved. Whether you thought the recruiting was A+ and just as good as it needs to be, or if you thought that they fell short a little bit, you always want to see improvement. And will the Noles end up getting that this year? We're going to talk about some targets and in some other videos. We mentioned a few here in this one today, but what are our expectations for not only positions, but the staff overall in this recruiting class? In the 2025 class, what do we need to see from Mike Norvell and his staff? Rich and I talk about that on our live show this week. If you missed that conversation, I'm going to show it to you, but do me a favor, hit the comments right now and let me know where you expect the Noles to finish in the 2025 recruiting class. But recruiting expectations for FSU in 2025. Florida State finished with around a top 10 class based on the service you're looking at, the metrics you're looking at. If you add in transfers, there may be closer to like 7 or 8, 6 in some places. Some sites do add in transfers. So an improvement over last year. Last year, they were about a 20th ranked class, and they ended up finishing around the number 15 with the transfers, maybe a little higher some places. This year, an improvement, still not where I think Florida State fans wanted to be. Obviously, if you spend the bulk of the year in the top 5 or so, when you drop back down to the top 10 or 11, you're going to be a little bit let down by that. I get it. If you think that's bad, go look at Florida fans who spent all year at number 3 and then fell into like the top 15-ish, 16, somewhere around there. So it does get worse. But when you're winning 13 games, you'd think you could recruit a little bit better than 10 or 11. Richie, what are your expectations for recruiting in the 2025 cycle?
I mean, bare minimum, you have to be top 10, like in high school. I think the staff does a great job in the portal, but you need to be signing bare minimum top 10 high school classes every year. And, you need to be pushing that top 5. And it looked like heading into signing day, Florida State could have been there. Things did not go well on signing day, and which has become a trend, unfortunately, for Florida State. Certain position groups have not been recruited as well, and it's certainly not closed as well. But, I'm fine with 6, 7. Like, I can't keep doing 11, 12, 14 of high school ranks. I need to see more. And now that you have the product to sell, you clearly have a very good NIL program in place with the Battle's End. You have to do better in specific positions. Linebacker, Randy Shannon, I need you to step up. Defensive end, we've not closed well. So these are positions, and these are, we talk about rich people problems, right? That's kind of what we're at right now, where we're complaining about an 11 or 12th ranked class. But those are some of the ones I need to see improve this year, and I think they can. I think they will, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, that's. You want to see continued improvement. You want to see the improvement Mike has made in the win-loss column, going from 3 to 5 to 10 to 13 wins. Let's get that in our high school recruiting and continue to do what we need to do in the portal. But I'd love for us to get to a point where the portal, we take in 10 guys instead of 20.
So right now, Florida State does have a 4-star edge prospect committed with Javion Hilson. We've also got a 3-star linebacker in Ethan Pritchard committed. See if he could rise a little bit or not. I don't know. I don't know if he could rise enough to get all the way up to 4-star status, blue chip status, but they do have a linebacker committed. He does have some okay size, 6'1", 200. But can they continue to improve on that? They're in the running for some other edge prospects. They've got a good board this year. Ethan Pritchard, I will say this, he is a 4-star on 3, right around that top 300. When you look at their industry rankings, he's top 250 on their website. So yeah, you can consider that a blue chip when you're top 4 by one of the major sites. So a blue chip linebacker, a blue chip defensive end, both a good start, right? You're not there yet. You need to sign them. You need to continue. You probably need you had 2 blue chip defensive ends this year in Amari Williams, who's a reclass. I don't know if you count that all the way, but Amari Williams and D.D. Holmes, No blue chip linebackers. I think you need 2 or 3 defensive ends this year. Obviously, you'd like to have a 4 or 5 star at each one of those 2 or 3. And then I think you need to restock the linebacker room. I think you need to really start building that out. And I think you could take 2 or 3 linebackers. And again, you'd hope that they're all kind of the blue chip variety. I think they also, Richie, need to do, again, not trying to harp so much on last year, right? Like have moved on from a lot of things. And I've had a lot of wounds healed up over the last month from everybody, right? Like the playoff committee, from the ACC, from our own recruiting and everything else. But I think you need to land, like you need to finish. You need to land your stars. They went 0 for 4 on signing day with their big stars, KJ Bolden, Armando Blunt, Jeremiah Smith, and LJ McCray. And all of those guys would have been the top guy in your class, would have been the number 1 signee in your class. And to go 0 for 4 there, that's nothing against your next ranked guys of Luke and Cam and Lester and Thomas and whoever, you signed, Elijah Moore. But you need to finish. And that's something that I don't even care. It's something that has continued to be a theme, and it's something that you've got to find a way to get over. And hopefully they can this year. Hopefully this year is kind of the year that they put on. They've got a 5-star offensive lineman committed that everybody in the country wants. Georgia, Florida, Miami, everybody wants. Can they finish there? Can they continue to keep it closed down, locked down? Can Atkins get his guy and pull him in? And then can they go out and get a 5-star wide receiver, Jamie French, who plays with your quarterback commit right now, and Trammell Jones? Can they go out and land some of the other talent, Chroma? Can they get Henderson, who looks like they're trading for it running back right now? And so can they finish? Can they recruit certain positions a little bit better? To me, that's the big question. And then I don't want to argue on this. I agree with you. Top 10 is the bare minimum, but if you want to compete for championships, you got to start being in the top 5. Like that just is what it is. You're not going to have the luxury of getting to skate through an easy freaking baby ACC anymore. Like you're just not going to have that luxury anymore. Like that's going away. Like probably in like a year. I think you're out in 2025. And so you're not going to be able to skate through a sorry, crappy ACC with your top 15, top 10 recruiting. If you want to win titles, you need to be up around that top 5 area. Now, you're going to get in the 12-team playoff recruiting at the top 10. You're going to have a shot, but are your trenches ever going to beat Ohio State? Are they ever going to beat Georgia? Are they ever going to beat Alabama? I think it's going to be tough. And so, yeah, top 10's bare minimum, but I think until you're knocking on the door of the top 5, I think you're probably going to drop more games than you want to those top 5 teams. So, yeah, expectation for me is it needs to be darn close to top 5. Like it needs to be really close to top 5 for me. Now, you finish 6 or 7. Obviously, the number itself doesn't matter so much because of how many kids you can take, how many kids another program takes, actual need, fit, all those things. But if you're not knocking on that door around top 5, I think we got some hard questions you got to try and answer, and you may have to move on from some guys. But I thought you should have moved on from some guys last year. So what do I know?